welcome to the pilot episode of This Food in History. I'm Soph, and we'll be discussing pasta with a focus on Italy today. We'll be cooking a tomato cream pasta. Pasta is a staple in one way or another in places all over the world. It was sometime before 200 BCE that you could actually find noodle making in northern China. So tomatoes are actually a member of the nightshade family, and so there's rumors of tomatoes being poisonous that in parts of Europe and its colonies in the mid-19th century, it's something that, if you guys may have heard, nightshade is a very deadly plant. It wasn't actually until 1839 that the first pasta recipe with tomatoes was documented. A common myth about pasta is that it was brought to Italy from China by Marco Polo during the 13th century. This can't be true due to differences in historical data before 1292 of pasta. In fact, the Arabic invasions of the 8th century, which was kind of the Middle Ages, heavily influenced regional cuisine is actually considered the most likely reason behind the diffusion of pasta in the world. And while Spanish settlers were among the first to then bring pasta to America, Thomas Jefferson helped give pasta a name here. While in Paris between 1784 and 1789, Jefferson actually ate macaroni, which is what he called it, that he enjoyed so much he brought it to America just so he could keep eating it. When he ran out, he had a friend in Naples send him more. It is important to note here that macaroni actually comes from a Sicilian term for kneading dough with energy, so this actually was applied to multiple types of pasta back then. Making proper pasta, you don't add salt until after your water has already started to boil, because salted water takes a lot longer to reach its boiling point. If you kind of add the salt right away, it's going to take you that much longer to get to your dinner, and so you're kind of putting in there for other reasons. To keep it short, add it after it starts to boil, wait a minute, then put in your noodles. Because of pasta's affordability, shelf life, and kind of how versatile it is, it's actually firmly rooted in Italian culture. The warm Mediterranean climate of Italy is very suited to growing fresh vegetables and herbs, which meant that Italians are the reason that we're able to get such delicious varieties of pasta sauces. There's so many different things they can grow there and make so that we have all these different ways to take something simple and give it plenty of different tastes. A different mixture of herbs is really all it takes to change the taste of things. Tomato-based sauces are actually kind of a favorite complement to pasta, and so they remain currently the most popular ingredient in pasta sauces today. There are roughly 300 different shapes and varieties of dried pasta in Italy, and there's actually even more because each region has its own differences and other versions. Dried pasta in complex shapes are designed for grabbing and holding onto sauces. Dried tube pasta like ziti or this penne have ridges specifically to hold onto the pasta sauce. Fun fact, by Italian law, dried pasta must be made with 100% durum semolia flour and water, which is a practice that everyone pretty much adheres to in the world, except for probably some really bad pasta makers. Durum wheat is actually something that comes very well out of Italy. They have the perfect climate for growing it. It's a ground durum wheat with water and eggs. Eggs is usually very, very common and kind of required. The use of durum wheat sets pasta apart from other forms of noodles, especially ones coming out of Asia. It's got a high gluten content and low moisture that makes it perfectly suited to pasta production. When cooking pasta, to actually get that true authentic way, you really want to make sure that it's al dente, which makes it actually more firm than many of us Americans are used to. We tend to kind of cook pasta until it's actually soft. There's always the rules if it sticks to this, it sticks to that, but that's actually too far for how a lot of it works. And also, we want to just be super careful with it because you don't want to have it raw, but you do want to have it still pretty firm. There's a lot of do's and don'ts of how you really should be cooking pasta. You don't just kind of cook it, serve it, and pour your sauce on top, as is very common around here. This isn't the authentic Italian way. What you actually want to do is that you want to cook your noodles and cook your sauce simultaneously. And you take a little bit of the noodle water, you add it in with your sauce, only about 1 cup, usually depending on how much you're serving. And then before the noodles have finished cooking, you're going to add it in with the sauce so you can cook them together. This allows the pasta to absorb the sauce and the flavor and just kind of melds it inside. Your sauce should kind of change the color of your noodles just a little bit. It's also practical. If you put the sauce on top of the pasta but then you don't eat it, it makes the pasta become kind of an edible glue. And so then with pasta, the one last thing is you want to make sure you eat it while it's still hot so it doesn't change its consistency, but that's when it's going to be most delicious. And that was our first episode of This Food in History. I hope you had fun. If you enjoyed things, make sure that you like and subscribe, and we'll be coming out with more, probably from Italy and from anywhere around the world.